The voices come to you like distant echoes, fragments of conversations never meant to be heard beyond the shadows they were whispered into. These are not the stories of legends or folklore told around campfires. These are shards of something far darker, far more fragile, trapped in the unseen corners of the digital world. Deleted forums that vanished overnight, YouTube videos scrubbed clean of their origins, government files shredded and blacked out with ruthless precision. These fragments pulse beneath the surface like a buried heartbeat, a secret murmured in the dark. It feels as if something or someone is desperately trying to erase these stories from existence, as if the very act of remembering is dangerous, like a flame threatening to ignite a powder keg. But what if the archive itself, the memory store we trust, is a carefully constructed lie? What if it is not a repository of truth, but a trap meant to bury us in silence? Dive into obscure digital shadows, where rare YouTube channels obsessively piece together fragmented Whishdom accounts, channels that once thrived but now exist only as ghostly remnants. Videos have been removed without explanation, accounts deleted, entire comment sections wiped clean as if the creators were hunted by an unseen force. The remaining fragments carry a tone of terrified urgency, stories laced with confusion and disbelief, yet woven together by recurring threads, names that never appear in official records, places that refuse to exist on any map, events that contradict every known timeline. These are the first glimmers of a hidden truth, masked beneath layers of deception. On Reddit, the whispers grow louder. Buried deep within subreddits like /r/conspiracy, /r/nosleep, and /r/unresolved mysteries, users recount inexplicable encounters connected to the Whishdom name. Posts dismissed as hallucinations or mental lapses, yet their eerie consistency cannot be ignored. Stories of shadowy figures glimpsed at the edge of vision, of sudden blackouts accompanied by strange dreams that feel like memories, of digital disturbances that corrupt not just files but minds. The emotional undertone of these posts is one of growing dread, of a creeping paranoia that something outside normal reality is intruding, something that erases itself before anyone can grasp its shape. The shared fear, the frantic attempts to connect the dots, reveal a psychological fracture, a collective sense of being watched, of reality slipping through fingers like smoke. Freedom of Information Act requests dig deeper but return only more silence. Pages arrived heavily redacted, passages sliced away like arteries drained of blood. The blacked-out sections suggest a systematic effort to erase specific knowledge, dates, names, events, while leaving enough gaps to fuel speculation but never enough to form a clear picture. This pattern hints at a higher authority at work, a hidden hand steering what the public can learn and what must remain buried. The psychological implications are profound. We are faced with an intentional suppression of collective memory, a gaslighting on a mass scale that forces us to question our own sanity. What trauma are we being made to forget? What truths are so dangerous that they must be wiped clean from every archive? Yet, beneath the layers of erasure and silence, a whisper of resistance persists. An underground network spreads the Whishdom stories in coded posts, encrypted messages, and fleeting digital footprints, a quiet rebellion against forgetting. This invisible web defies the silence, connecting fragmented memories across time and space, like fireflies pulsing in the dark. But even here, fear reigns supreme. Members disappear, threads are deleted without trace, and newcomers are met with warning whispers. The paranoia tightens its grip, fueled by grief for lost truths and an obsession to unearth what was deliberately concealed. It is a delicate dance on the edge of madness, a fever dream where every revelation brings more questions, and every question threatens to unravel what little reality remains. What is Whishdom? Is it a place, a person, a code? Or something darker? A phenomenon that exists just beyond perception, feeding on the fragile cracks in our understanding? The stories refuse to settle, shifting like shadows cast by flickering light. Each clue is a thread pulled from a tangled web of contradictions, forcing us to confront the uncomfortable possibility that some histories are rewritten not by chance, but by design. In the silent spaces between words, in the erased files, in the vanished videos, the Whishdom stories wait, fractured, fragile, and haunting. The archive is not silent because there is nothing to say. It is silent because some voices are too dangerous to be heard. And yet, here they are, whispers from the invisible archive, calling out to those who dare to listen. They say the faces are gone, erased from frames, wiped from feeds, vanished like ghosts before you can hold their gaze. But traces remain, flickering shadows in corrupted videos, voices warped beyond recognition in leaked recordings, words that splinter under the weight of doubt and disbelief. The storytellers, the ones who tried to pull back the veil, have become phantoms themselves. Names once whispered in hushed circles dissolve into silence, witnesses disappear without a trace, leaving behind only fragments of grief and terror that bleed through every distorted frame. These aren't scattered tales but shards of a fractured mosaic, each reflecting impossible places and events that twist reality itself. What if those who tell the stories are no longer free? What if they are trapped, caught in a web spun by forces far beyond understanding, shadows forced to play parts in a game they never agreed to join? Hidden beneath layers of deleted social media profiles and vanished Twitter threads lies a pattern of sudden erasure. Researchers, whistleblowers, ordinary people who dared speak the name Whishdom, all have been wiped from the digital landscape. Accounts once alive with urgency and obsession disappear overnight, their creators silenced by threats unseen but deeply felt. In their last posts, subtle hints appear, mentions of unseen watchers lurking just beyond the screen, landscapes that defy physics and memory, an ever-present sensation of being hunted. These motifs echo across scattered testimonies, stitching disparate stories into a tapestry of paranoia that tightens with every new revelation. Grief claws at the edges of every confession. The obsession to uncover the truth, whether born from trauma or desperation, leads many down spirals of mental unraveling. Some vanish, swallowed by shadows. Others speak of forced silencing, threats whispered in the dark. Is this collapse genuine, or a weapon wielded by an unseen hand to discredit those who dig too deep? Among the survivors, anonymous voices emerge, confessions coded in cryptic language, hinting at something called the Watcher's Covenant, an ominous pact enforcing silence, surveillance, and control. These fragments suggest a hidden hierarchy, orchestrating the narrative from the shadows, pulling strings so deftly the puppets barely know they dance. The paranoia escalates, a suffocating fog that settles over every inquiry. Who watches the watchers? Who commands the invisible forces dictating what is seen and what is erased? Behind the curtain, something cold and methodical controls the story's shape, a hidden power that thrives on fear, grief, and the slow erosion of certainty. The hollow faces behind the stories are more than victims. They are warnings etched in silence. Their vanished voices haunt the spaces between pixels and memories, begging us to ask, what price must be paid for truth, and who decides who will survive the telling? Time fractures here, splintering like broken glass scattered across a floor no one dares to sweep. The dates don't line up, they collide, overlap, vanish. Events recorded by some witnesses are erased from all others, slipping through cracks in reality as if swallowed by the void. Entire years blink out of collective memory, leaving gaping holes where history should be. People recall moments that never happened, technology that shouldn't exist yet hums quietly beneath the surface, places folding in and out of existence like fading echoes. This is no accident. The timeline itself becomes a labyrinth, twisting and turning to disorient, confuse, and trap the mind. But what if this chaos is intentional? What if the very fabric of time is being pulled, stretched, and rewritten, not by mere human hands, but by something lurking beneath the surface, something that feeds on distortion and confusion? Declassified documents reveal contradictions so sharp they cut through reason, testimonies that place the same event in different decades, or a person living two lives in separate timelines. Witness accounts tell of days swallowed whole, hours lost to blackouts, and memories that loop like broken records. These anomalies mirror the whispers of conspiracy folklore, stories of missing hours, vanished days, and an unshakable sensation of déjà vu that haunts the most reliable minds. Could this be trauma, A psychological defense splintering memories into unrecognizable fragments? Or is it the signature of an external force, bending reality to a sinister design? Beneath the surface, suppressed evidence creeps out from the shadows. Files detailing inexplicable disappearances linked to Whishdom locations, only to reappear with altered details, as if those who vanish return from a different timeline, or perhaps no timeline at all. These strange occurrences aren't just isolated incidents but form a pattern, one that challenges our very understanding of cause and effect. Is time itself a weapon, wielded to control what is remembered, what is forgotten, and ultimately, what is real? In this tangled web, the nature of memory and time blurs into a tool of erasure, a method of control so profound it suffocates the truth beneath layers of confusion. When the past is no longer fixed, when reality shifts like sand beneath your feet, how do you hold on to anything at all? How do you trust the stories when the timeline itself is a lie? Shapes emerge from the static, whispers from the chaos. A language carved into shadows that only the desperate dare to read. Symbols haunt the edges of videos, faint sigils etched into forgotten documents, sequences repeating like an endless echo across continents and decades, as if the world itself pulses with a hidden code. These are no accidents. They are deliberate marks, warnings encoded beneath layers of deception designed to stay invisible, to be dismissed as coincidence. But who is meant to see them? Who dares to decode these signs, to peel back the veil? The price is high, reality fractures, minds unravel, and sanity slips away into the dark. Across grainy footage and distorted recordings, patterns emerge, auditory glitches that mimic whispered names, visual motifs looping like ghosts trapped in a broken film reel. Independent researchers have pieced together fragments of cryptic messages, but their discoveries vanish, deleted or discredited in waves of digital erasure. These codes resist explanation, teasing at a truth so vast it threatens to consume the mind whole. The human brain, wired to find order in chaos, latches onto these signs, but is this a revelation or a trap? Psychological studies warn how pattern recognition can spiral into obsession, feeding a cycle of conspiracy that blurs the line between insight and madness. Those who follow these trails too far often disappear. Names surface only to vanish again, tied to unexplained deaths or sudden silences. Whistleblowers and truth seekers are swallowed by the same shadows they tried to illuminate, leaving behind only fractured warnings, fragments of a curse no one can fully understand. Paranoia grows, not just from outside threats but from within. What if the patterns are not external? What if they live inside your mind, shaping what you see, what you fear, and what you believe? The question isn't what these patterns mean, it's who put them there and why you can't stop seeing them. The last whispers of Whishdom cling to the edges of sanity, like cold breath against your neck in a darkened room. Intangible yet unmistakably there, pressing into the quiet moments you thought were safe. The questions multiply without answers, folding inward like a nightmare collapsing upon itself, suffocating and infinite. Who survives the story when the storytellers are swallowed? Who holds the final cut, the master key to the narrative's end, or its unending loop? Beneath the layers of conspiracy lies a harsher truth. Some knowledge fractures the mind, some stories are weapons disguised as truths, and those who dare speak them risk being erased, consumed by the darkness they sought to expose. Final transmissions from whistleblowers crackle through digital static, fragments of last testimonies, hurried confessions never meant for wide ears, voices trembling with dread and defiance. Their words vanish as quickly as they appear, swallowed by shadowy forces or lost to the relentless tide of suppression. Yet these fragments seep deeper, threading into the fabric of cultural paranoia, infecting folklore and online myth like a digital plague, blurring the lines between urban legend and lived terror. The Whishdom stories have become more than just a secret. They are a mirror reflecting our darkest fears of what lurks beneath the surface of reality. Obsession tightens its grip, a cruel tether pulling deeper into the void. The human need to uncover truth becomes a curse, dragging seekers down into isolation, paranoia, and despair. What begins as curiosity mutates into a slow, unyielding descent, A lonely spiral where trust frays and every shadow threatens revelation or ruin. This is the emotional climax, where paranoia ceases to be a warning and becomes a relentless force, a final echo that traps those who listen in its chilling embrace. And yet, the question remains, lingering like a ghost's echo, is the story truly over, or has it only just begun to consume a new generation? The silence that follows is not peace, it is waiting. Waiting for the next voice to speak, the next mind to break, the next whisper to become a scream in the dark.